Most people wake up to birdsong, maybe the smell of fresh coffee. Me. I woke up to the sound of a massive SUV chewing across my front lawn like it was her own private racetrack. And the worst part, the driver was none other than Catherine Dunn, our HOA president, the woman who fined me last year for leaving my recycling bin out 30 minutes too long, now tearing up my grass every single morning with a smug little grin plastered across her face. That's how my morning started, with the sound of destruction and hypocrisy rolling over my yard like clockwork. At first I told myself it had to be a mistake. A delivery truck cutting too close, some teenager showing off, maybe even a tourist who didn't know where they were going. But every morning the same tracks appeared, perfectly lined up as if measured with a ruler right through the softest patch of earth on my lawn. I'd step outside with my coffee stare at the muddy scars carved across my pride and joy and feel my stomach twist. My lawn wasn't just grass, it was years of work weekends spent fertilizing, edging, cutting until the lines looked like they belonged in a magazine. That lawn was my order in a chaotic world, and now it was being vandalized one tire track at a time. I finally caved and bought one of those cheap motion sensor cameras online, the kind you see in late-night ads. I set it up facing the corner where the tracks always started, hoping maybe I'd catch the culprit. And when I did, I couldn't believe it. There she was, Catherine Dunn, queen of the HOA sunglasses on at 7:20 in the morning, one hand on the wheel, smirk curling her lips, driving her shiny new Suburban across my grass like it was her driveway. The hypocrisy made my jaw drop. The same woman who preached about protecting property values at every meeting was shredding my lawn for fun. I thought maybe if I confronted her face to face, she'd at least feel some shame. So at the next neighborhood cleanup event, while everyone else was picking up trash bags and pretending to get along, I cornered her. "Catherine," I said, trying to keep my voice calm, "I've noticed tire marks on my lawn, almost every morning." She looked at me, pearl earrings catching the sunlight, and laughed like I had just told her the weather was inconvenient. "Oh, Dylan, it's just grass. It grows back. Just grass." I felt my jaw tighten. I told her I had footage that it was her Suburban. She didn't even flinch. "Darling, I'm the HOA president. I drive all over the neighborhood. Maybe you're mistaken. Cameras glitch." And then she leaned in close, dropped the fake sweetness, and said, "Listen carefully. I am the board. If you keep making noise about this, you're only going to make things harder for yourself." I stood there, rake in hand, fighting every instinct to blow up. But that's the thing about people like Catherine. They want you to lose it. If I had yelled, she'd spin it into a story about hostile neighbors. So I swallowed it, went back to raking, while inside a storm was building. And Catherine knew exactly what she was doing. The very next week she drove across my lawn, slower than ever, sunglasses down, giving me a smug little wave through the window. Then came the letters. One envelope accused me of failure to maintain lawn quality. Another claimed my garden gnomes violated neighborhood aesthetics. Then a third saying I'd left my trash bin out beyond permitted hours. She wasn't just driving across my property, she was using the HOA as her personal weapon. Every letter came with a fine. $50, $100, $200. My neighbors noticed, of course. Some muttered tough break as they walked past, others just looked away. Nobody wanted to challenge her. Catherine wasn't just on the board, she was the board. I decided to bring the evidence to an HOA meeting. I stood up in front of a dozen neighbors, played the footage of her Suburban tearing across my lawn mud, spraying in glorious detail. For a moment there was silence. Then Catherine stood up, smoothed her cardigan, and played the role of the martyr. "These allegations are absurd," she said, voice polished sharp. "This video could have been doctored. Dylan has always been combative with the HOA, and now he's smearing me with fake evidence." Some neighbors actually nodded. One even clapped. And just like that, my smoking gun turned into a punchline. I walked out of that meeting humiliated. I sat at my kitchen table that night with a pile of violation letters in front of me, videos looping on my laptop, and for the first time I seriously wondered if I should just give up. Was I crazy for fighting this? It was just grass, right? Catherine held all the cards, the board, the fines, the narrative. I had nothing but some clips and a lawn full of scars. For a brief moment I almost convinced myself to let it go. But then I remembered the look on her face as she waved at me through the window of her SUV, that smug, mocking smile. And something inside me shifted. No, I wasn't going to fold. If Catherine wanted war, I'd give her one, but on my terms. Not with shouting, not with tantrums, but with patience, evidence, and a plan. I started researching city codes and HOA bylaws like a man possessed. No, I couldn't lay down spikes or booby traps. But I could make landscaping improvements. Planters, shrubs, decorative barriers. All perfectly legal, all tasteful, and all strategically placed where her Suburban liked to cut across. I collected receipts, permits, and even got a landscaper's contract, so every move I made was bulletproof. Mara, my retired schoolteacher neighbor, and Hector, the young dad across the street, both agreed to keep their phones ready. If Catherine tried to force her way through, the whole neighborhood would see it. Wednesday morning, the landscapers arrived. By noon, a neat row of heavy planters filled with shrubs lined the strip of grass Catherine had been abusing. Gravel beds behind them gave the look of a pedestrian path, not a barricade. It was tasteful, perfectly within code, and absolutely in her way. That evening, Catherine's Suburban rolled up as predictable as the sunrise. She slowed when she saw the planter's confusion flashing across her face. Then annoyance. Then outrage. She tried to angle her SUV through anyway, but the arc of the planters forced her bumper dangerously close to my mailbox. She reversed, tried again more aggressively. Gravel crunched under her tires. Neighbors came out. Mara lifted her phone, chuckling. Hector leaned against his truck, recording everything. Catherine's pride wouldn't let her back down, but reality had other plans. She finally had to stop, climb out of her Suburban heels, clicking on the gravel, and march up to me. "What is this?" she demanded, voice sharp. "Community beautification," I said, arms crossed. "Looks good, doesn't it?" She sputtered, threatened fines, threatened to call the board. But the witnesses, the cameras, and the receipts in my hand made her threats sound small and petty. She stormed off, and for the first time she didn't wave. But Catherine wasn't done. She filed a lawsuit, claimed I was harassing her, obstructing community easements, even defaming her. I almost laughed when I read it. Still, I prepared. I printed out every video, every invoice, every city code email confirming what I'd done was legal. On court day, Catherine strutted in like royalty pearls, shining Suburban parked illegally out front. She gave a speech about being victimized by a hostile neighbor, about how I endangered the community. Then it was my turn. I calmly laid out the facts, showed the videos, the clips of her Suburban tearing across my lawn, the letter where she fined me for the very damage she caused, the receipts for my landscaping. When I played the footage of her SUV clipping one of the planters and spewing soil across the curb, even the judge chuckled. The ruling was swift, case dismissed, and Catherine ordered to pay my filing fees. She walked out, red-faced, heels clicking softer now, her lawyer avoiding eye contact. For someone who thrived on image, losing in public was the worst punishment imaginable. And when the story spread, neighbors sharing the video, memes popping up on local Facebook groups with captions like, "HOA Queen meets her match," her power evaporated almost overnight. At the next election, Catherine wasn't even nominated. Officially, she stepped down to focus on family. Everyone knew the truth. I didn't celebrate with fireworks or champagne. I didn't need to. I just watered the new shrubs, clipped the hedges, and mowed my lawn, finally free of tire tracks. Catherine still lives on the street, but she avoids my corner now. No more waves, no more smirks. Just silence. And that's the lesson I learned. Arrogance always digs its own grave.